Service. What is up, listeners? Welcome back to another episode of the Full Service Podcast. I am Tank Smith, your host. Today is episode 87. Thanks for being here. Shout out to my guest from last week, Sophia Soma. Sophia, yo, thanks for coming on the podcast. Hell yeah. Listeners, if you have not yet, check out last week's episode. Make sure you're following Sophia. She is on Twitter at Sophia Soma VIPXO. You can find her on OnlyFans at Sophia Soma VIP. I have links to both of those in the show notes from last week. Hit them show notes. Show her some love. As always, you can find us on Twitter, on Instagram at Full Service Pod. I am at Tank Funkadelic. If you enjoy the show, subscribe to the podcast. Hit that like button, that follow button, that plus button. You'll be alerted as soon as those new episodes drop every single Tuesday. If you want to support the show, head on over to patreon.com/fullservicepod. Each month we have at least one Patreon exclusive episode. If you checked out last week's episode, you got to hear a snippet from Sophia's Patreon episode. That was our Patreon episode for last month. So if you wanted to hear that whole thing, hey, patreon.com/fullservicepod. Also, if you subscribe to the Outcall tier on our podcast, you will get a free month trial to friends of the podcast, Sophia Soma, Sweet Haley Grace, and Alexis Reynolds. They're OnlyFans. So what do you subscribe to the Patreon? It's a good time. Ratings and reviews help so much for visibility for the show. So if you were listening to us on Apple Podcasts, hit us with a 5-star rating. Write us a review. I will read it on the podcast. I think since last week, we got 2 new reviews. I'm not reading them today. I got to save them up. But shout out to y'all for writing reviews. It really does help for visibility for the show. We're trying to spread the word. And, your help, it means a lot. It really does. Today, episode 87. So excited. My guest is a Vancouver-based sex worker, Ayla Meretrice. We recorded a couple weeks ago. So much fun. Ayla, she's an aspiring mortician. It's happening. We talk about it. We talk about her starting sex work. We talk about companionship, creating content online. She's in college. We talk about, balancing sex work, balancing school. We talk about her love of the arts, where she sees herself in the future, police in Canada. Oh man, so much fun. Shout out Ayla. I appreciate you coming on the podcast for real. You can find Ayla on Twitter at NakedGRL Therapy. Her company, CS Pro Writing, on Twitter. You can also find her at Ayla Meretrice on Twitter and her website, nakedgirltherapy.ca. I have links to all of those in the show notes from this week. Hit the show notes. If you're looking at just hit the more and then just scroll. Hey, we got links. Click them links. Show her some love. I'm going to stop talking. Super excited for y'all to hear my conversation today with Ayla Meretrice. Thanks. Welcome back, listeners. It's Tank Smith. I'm so excited for today's episode. My guest is a Vancouver-based sex worker, Ayla Meretrice. Ayla, thanks for being on the podcast.
Hey Tank, thanks for inviting me and everything. I'm really excited to be on the show today.
Hell yeah. So super stoked to have you. This is great.
Yeah. Yeah, when I first saw the podcast, I was like, ooh, yay, someone actually wants to listen to me rambling for about 80 million years? Awesome.
Yes. 100%. Listeners, I'm currently in Atlanta. Ayla, where are you joining us from?
I'm joining you from Delta, so one of the suburbs in Vancouver, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
The burbs.
Yep, I'm not in Vancouver proper right now.
Okay. What, so, I looked up, Vancouver on a map the other day. And I was like, yo, I've never been in person. I went in Tony Hawk Underground, and that was 2006, So I've never actually been to Vancouver. What's the move? If I'm coming up there, if somebody's coming, what's something good to do?
Oh my god. Eating, always eating. We've got some fantastic stuff. If you're an outdoorsy person, there's stuff like skiing. You can like go to the beaches and stuff. If you're a total perv, you can end up at Wreck Beach, which is our local like nudie beach, I guess.
Okay.
My personal thing, because I'm a weirdo, is walking around and just exploring everything in downtown because everything's always changing. There's always some cool stuff to see.
Hell yeah. Have you been to the nude? You mentioned the nude beach. Have you been before?
Yeah, actually, that's where I met one of my friends, Andromeda Blue. They're a worker based in, oh god, they used to be in Virginia, I think, or
Okay.
Pennsylvania, one of the two.
How is it? What's the vibe on the beach?
Well, let's put it this way: when you're down there and it starts getting on, like you hear this one guy that likes to go up and down the beach yelling. You know how people hawk items at like games and stuff? Well, there's this guy that's down there, but he's hawking blunts.
See, that's my kind of beach, actually.
The only problem with Wreck Beach is the fact that I think there's like 100 steep stairs you have to go down to actually get it or something.
Oh
It's
wow.
funny, there's actually a review for the stairs to Wreck Beach on Yelp, I think.
If you want to go to this beach, you're gonna see some boobs, but the stairs, ugh, it's a
Yep,
lot.
you gotta suffer for your titties.
Yeah. Hell yeah. You play the piano, you sing. I've subscribed to the YouTube channel. Great stuff. Love the stuff happening on your YouTube
Oh,
channel.
thank you. Yeah. I did musical theater and that kind of thing in high school, and I've been playing piano for a while. Not sure how many years. I stopped taking lessons like forever ago, but I'm all right. I mean, I wasn't enough to go. I'm not in one of those fancy like graded programs or anything, but yeah, I really
Still
enjoyed
good.
it. Yeah, and I was in show choir and I used to dance as well. Yes, I did do show choir.
Is I was in band in high school, so
Oh, yep, yep, yep.
I played trumpet, so I get it.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have a favorite like musical production or play? You got a favorite?
I've got a few that I love. I mean, Avenue Q is the first one that comes to mind.
Nice.
Like Sesame Street?
Yeah.
It's that for adults. There's
Okay. Okay,
puppet
yeah, yeah,
sex
yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff. Yeah, yeah, you've probably heard of it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's the one where you get the song "The Internet is for Porn" and everything. Which, fun
Nice.
fact, there's a school-friendly version,
Really, like a
and
Kids Bop
that
version.
oh yeah, there's like one that they've edited the whole thing so that kids can do the show, and that song has been replaced with "My Social Life is Online,"
That's
right?
definitely a different. That's definitely a different song than.
I know, and for me, I'm like, okay, so you edited that song out, but like, what do you do about them drinking and the puppet sex in the middle of it?
Yeah, that's that's a
Because
problem.
that's like a major plot point, and one of the characters is literally a porn star.
This made me think randomly. Have you seen Team America? Have you seen?
No.
Oh, okay, you should talk about the puppets and the sex. It's like
Oh, okay. I think I've seen snippets of it, but I haven't.
okay, yeah,
Yeah,
it's one of the greatest puppet sex scenes ever. Is in Team America World Police. Just out of
beautiful.
random.
Yeah, I bet you didn't come on the show today expecting to talk about that.
That just popped in my head. I saw on your Twitter, you tweeted at last week tonight you had created like a Trump cross stitch art where he's like his face is getting like eaten by worms.
Yeah, I've just been re-watching episodes, and I can't remember which episode it was, but he's got a quote on there where he says like, "I'd love to have that quote crocheted onto a pillow." And I'm like, well, I don't do crochet, but because of the pandemic, I picked up cross stitch. So I was like, here, let me throw this into my program and see what I make out of it.
That's dope.
So, yeah. I haven't had time to stitch it yet, but I'm planning on doing that. And I'm pretty sure if I look hard enough, I can find their address online and actually mail it to him and see if it actually ever pops up on his show.
That'd be so great. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like you're the first person that I've had on the podcast where you mentioned you want to be a mortician. Is it still in the works? Is it happening?
Yes. Yes, it is still in the works. Yeah.
How'd you get into it? What's the story?
Oh, the story. Oh god. So I was a creepy little kid and I had a creepy little epiphany. And that was that all religions essentially want to tell you the same thing, but the main difference is what happens to you after you die.
Okay.
Because most religions are like, we want you to do good things and be nice to other people and blah blah blah, right? Like most religions, that's their main tenet is we want you to improve your relationships or whatever. But the main difference is what happens to you after you die, or the requirements to get into their afterlife.
Okay.
So I was like, wow, okay, that's neat. I was always interested in mythology, and that's when it occurred to me that, hey, wait, I can actually, I'm not scared of this stuff. I can, like, help with that.
That's dope.
Yeah, to me, becoming like a mortician or someone who takes care of the dead in any capacity, like it's the last bit of care you ever give someone. And I think that's really important. It's like a calling almost, like, you know how people feel like called to be in healthcare or whatever, and
Yeah.
not everyone is able to stomach healthcare. I feel like it's the same way.
No, it really is. Like that's the last time like a lot I mean, that's just the last time you're seeing a family member and
Hmm.
it's like you're taking the care to like make them look their like all-time best.
Yeah,
And
and you're also just taking care of them, washing them, making sure that like they're being respected even after they're gone, and that's like so vital.
damn, that's dope. When how long until it becomes a reality? When's it starting?
So how long before someone's on the slab and I get to deal with it,
Yeah.
huh? Not really sure because at this point I can really just try applying for apprenticeships and just going, "Hey, give me a chance, maybe?"
Oh hell yeah. So you don't gotta it's like you can just like kind
There's
of hop in.
Yeah, over here in my province, I don't really know how it works in other provinces, and I know that there's like actual mortician school in the States you have to go to, but over here it's an apprenticeship. Earlier last year, I applied and got rejected, unfortunately, from the only program that does the pre learning for the apprenticeship because you can
Okay.
do that before the apprenticeship or you can hop into the apprenticeship right away and then do the schooling later.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's only like 12 or 24 seats. So in my whole province, there's only like 12 or 24 spots. So it
Holy
was
shit.
real. Yeah, I know. And it's only the one class and it's only offered once a year.
What?
Right? Yeah, it's so crazy to me that they only offer that. I'm like, but people die everywhere and
I
there's
know,
so
right? I
much
feel like
need
you got to
for
catch up to
this.
the death rate, especially like now COVID's happening. We got
Mhm.
to just like
Yeah.
we got to sign people up. We need your help.
Exactly. I'm like, "What? Why are you only doing this?" Hard dislike. I actually did a paper recently, because I took a history of Islam class, and you'll see why this ties in. And being me, we got to pick the topic, and me being me, I chose the history of Islamic death practices and how things have changed. And I ended up doing a bit of research into how it's been for people right now because,
Oh
shit's
yeah.
changed. Like, you can't have the family take care of the body anymore, which
God, I didn't even
is
think about
kind
that.
of
Yeah.
bullshit because the CDC and the WHO actually say, like, no, it's perfectly fine. even if this person died of COVID, for the family to take care of the body. But nobody's letting anyone do that. Nobody's
Damn.
letting anybody do that. I don't know anywhere that's actually letting people do that.
I mean, this was such a weird time because it's like this is like
Totally.
if you passed away in the past like year, like I had a friend who passed away in like July of last year, and it's like people don't have funerals. Like it's
Yeah.
like you don't really get a send off. It's like you were here, you're gone, and
And you're just kind of stuck without like the closure that a funeral might bring or anything
yeah,
like that.
for
Yeah,
sure.
I'm really upset that like even early in the pandemic that people just ended up skipping funerals. Like funerals just didn't happen because they were like postponed and then they just never ended up happening. I'm like that's really shitty. Like somebody should have figured out like some way to deal with that.
Yeah, I did watch a Zoom funeral, and not bad,
Okay, yeah.
not bad. Had some good singing going on.
Oh, nice. I
Yeah,
love singing at funerals and that kind of thing. It's always kind of interesting to see what selections people have.
I feel like I'm trying to go. I'm trying to go with a New Orleans brass band.
Oh, fuck, yes.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
sweet.
Oh my god, yeah. That would be an amazing send off.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to go down to New Orleans and everything.
I still have never
God, I'm
been.
so white though, I can't handle the food.
You can if you can handle the food. I'm sure it's great. They got food where
Yeah.
you're at. They got food down there. It's probably not that different. They got shrimp and I mean, yeah. I
I
believe in
know, it's
you.
just the level of spice. I'm like, too white for this shit.
They do spice it up though. They do.
Yeah.
They go hard with the spice, but hey, I respect it.
I'll suffer through. I mean, it probably will. Okay, I'll suffer in as much as my mouth will be on fire, but the rest of me will be happy.
Yeah, it's just a something you gotta deal with. It's just a
Yeah,
side effect, but you'll feel better.
yeah.
Man, you're a writer as well. You have your own like company. Tell the people about
Yeah.
that.
Oh, hello. So everybody, I am also the person who runs Center Stage Professional Writing. I've kind of been doing it. I started doing it for free during the pandemic because everybody had been laid off. But what I do is I like take your resume, I talk to you, and I make it sound like you and not just this bland piece of copy.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to write about yourself that I find that stuff like cover letters, nobody knows how to write a good cover letter. Like,
N-
nobody.
nope, I still don't.
Yeah, because what do you get? Because even me, like, it's sometimes difficult for me to write my own cover letters because it's sitting there going, oh yeah, I'm the best because blah blah blah. And, like, that's really difficult for somebody to write about, right?
For sure.
Yeah, I started the company because I wanted to, like, bring out the best in people and actually show that to employers and also help people get the jobs they need during the pandemic.
Did you have anybody who was like you wrote their resume or you wrote their cover letter and then they got the job and then they were like, "Oh my god, you saved me. This is amazing."
I don't know that I've gotten any like "you saved me, you're the greatest" reviews yet, but I've definitely helped a few people. Yeah.
It's gonna happen. It's in the works. It's
Yes, I hope so.
hell yeah. Ayla, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. So stoked to have you on.
Thanks. I'm a giggly bitch, so if I'm just laughing constantly, that's just me. By the way.
Well, that makes two of us. So I always like to like start at the beginning, like of everyone's kind of like sex work journey. So you work in companionship, you do online sex work. Do you feel like you can remember your first like exposure to sex work at all?
Yes, I can. I thought about this and I actually wrote it down. I'm not going to read it off or anything, but my first exposure was the CSI episode with the Suicide Girls.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, my first exposure was the Suicide Girls episode, and then my next few ones were like there was like an episode of CSI where it was a girl who got killed over something, and she was like a panty seller, and there was a whole like
Really
con or
interesting.
something. And yeah, my initial sex work ideal was like, oh my god, I want to be a suicide girl. And then I realized, wow, I look like, Velma, so that might not work.
And that's expensive, you know?
Yeah.
All that ink, like, that's, oh boy, that's thousands of
Oh
dollars.
god, yeah. I've got 2 tattoos right now, and I'm planning on 80 million more because once you get one, you really don't stop. And I'm like, uh-oh.
See, I only have the one and I stopped. I feel like I need to get another one, but still only the one.
Yeah.
How did you decide to get into sex work? When did you start?
Honestly, you're probably gonna get the most honest answer by me saying that, like, I started before I was 18.
Okay.
Yeah, I basically would trade, like, blowjobs for, like, rides and shit,
Okay.
and getting me meals and stuff. Like, if I wanted a favor from somebody, yeah, that's what I did. Then after I turned 18, I actually started, like, doing a bit of porn for somebody, and those videos are actually still on sale on my clip sites. Like, the ones that are from me, like, at 18 are still on sale. I'm gonna
Okay.
retire them eventually once I have a shitload more content, but yeah. And then I started sugaring and tried seeking arrangements. I actually ended up going on a couple dates. My favorite, though, was this one guy that I think he was just doing this as dating practice,
Really?
actually. Yeah, because we spent like 3 hours. We walked on the seawall in Vancouver. Beautiful, beautiful things, the seawall. And we walked the seawall. He just talked. The guy had a stutter. So I think he was trying to get himself like psyched to talk to women and not be so self conscious about the stutter.
That's what's up. That's nice.
Yeah, and he took me to lunch. Everything was great. He paid me afterwards. It was great. Like, I miss that dude so much.
How did you like sugaring?
Oh god. That was the only like good date I had.
Really?
Yeah. Seeking arrangements is a cesspool. And funny enough, there was another site that you got paid to go on dates with, and I actually ended up seeing my ex's dad on there, so I immediately like went, nope, never going back there again. Oh god. Yeah, I don't even remember what site I'm on, so I'm just like, no, never going back. No, 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 no.
How did you decide to go from like sugaring to I want to get into companionship? What did that kind of like, I guess, look like? That change?
That change was me just kind of getting over myself and being like, it's okay to fuck people for money.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was really it. Was I was like scared and shit. I'm like, oh my god. I don't know, is this gonna be weird? And then I eventually did my first date and I was like, oh, that was like easy.
Yeah. Do you feel like there was like a learning curve or like a waiver period at the beginning when you're like just not good? Does that, is that
God,
is
I
that a
feel like
thing?
I'm still in it. Like, I see people marketing themselves as like the blowjob queen and shit, and I'm like, God, I don't think I can advertise as something like that. Like, oh my God.
I feel like it
I'm
takes
constantly learning.
you got to put it in the reps. It's the reps, you know.
Yeah, and just the thing about me is like, even in my personal like sex life, I always want to be like the best somebody's had. And I feel like that's been part of my push to be in the work is like, I want to make shit good for someone.
See, now that's dope because it's like I mean that shit'll stick with you for a long time. Like the best ever. Like you got that in your head.
Yeah.
Like the I think the thing that's crazy is like so like you'll see somebody right, and then it's like
Mhm.
you go on your way right, but then like
Mhm.
I might think about this thing for a long time and be like, oh my god, remember that time like 2 years ago? Her,
Mhm.
she was the best. Like it's you have that
Yep.
you have that ability to leave that impression on somebody.
Yeah. I'm proud to say I've probably done that for a couple of people.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
At the beginning, do you feel like did you have anybody to help you starting out, or do you like look up to
Yes.
anybody? Did anybody give you advice?
So my first ad ever was actually co-written by another local worker, Charlie Beckett. They're pretty great. Like intimidating as fuck from the outside, but they're a total sweetheart.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I've got a good community around here, so even now if I need tips or anything, I could just go to somebody else. I honestly can't even remember how I first found like other workers that like would help me.
Did you know about Twitter or like social media? Anything happening when you started out?
No, I didn't really think about it.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people don't really know until they like maybe they see somebody on their website and they have like a Twitter and then they like, oh wow, there's a whole sex work Twitter happening. I had no idea.
Yeah, exactly. I think I figured it out by either somebody telling me about it directly or I just poked around on other people's ads
Okay.
and saw, oh, they've got a Twitter. Okay.
Then more people have Twitters. You're like, maybe I should make a Twitter. It's happening.
Yeah, exactly. Like free advertising? Fuck it. Sites rip us off all the fucking time. Why
For
not?
real.
I don't know if you've ever seen how much it costs to put up ads on different sites, but seriously, it's a goddamn rip.
Yeah, people have definitely told me how much like Eros is fucking crazy. I don't know if do
Hmm.
they have Eros in like Vancouver, Canada? They have Eros up
I
there?
don't know. The local one we use is called Leo List, but
Okay, I've heard of Leo
they
List.
work in like euros and everything's a fucking rip. Just, ugh.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it really is a lot.
What do you think your biggest challenge was starting out in the industry?
Kind of finding my niche. I mean, I still kind of feel like I don't really have a niche. I mean, my marketing is as the naked girl therapist because I've found that like this is like therapy light for some
Yeah,
people.
I can see that. I've definitely been with somebody, and then like afterwards, I was like, man, that was just like it's a weight lifted. It feels so good, you know?
Mhm. Cuz my specialty is like the girlfriend experience. Like I do get to talk to my clients and they get to tell me all the stuff that maybe they wouldn't have told somebody else or they don't have anyone to really like say that to.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It feels good when you can talk and stuff.
Yeah, it feels good when you can like actually have a connection with somebody.
Definitely. What do you think the most important thing you learned starting out was?
Get paid what you're worth. That's my favorite lesson I've ever learned from this whole thing is get paid what you're worth. I would yell that at the top of my lungs if I could.
How is it starting out like kind of even like knowing like finding what that is for you, I guess.
It was weird. I still feel weird about like setting rates for myself, honestly. You look at other people and I know I look pretty white, but I'm like mixed and I don't want to hide that.
Yeah.
So I mention it and everything, and I know that if I marketed myself as just white, I could set my rates higher and get paid higher. But I don't because I'd rather be honest about it. And I see no problem with anybody in this industry like lying about their ethnicity, claiming that they're like fully white if it means they like make more money.
Yeah. Yeah, like I know it's like somebody they might like one of my friends like she might use a different name, like a wider sounding name to
Hmm.
like attract a different audience or
Yeah,
sort of
exactly. It's that concept.
yeah. How is it being like I guess being someone that's mixed, being a minority in sex work in Vancouver? Like is do you feel like it's a different experience than being white?
Oh yeah, because you're if you're white, you're not gonna get texts that are like Filipina question mark. And that's like all they say in the text.
That's all.
Yeah, honestly, I've gotten texts like that, and some of them just like yeah, just Filipina question mark, or they just start texting me like with random words in Tagalog, and I'm like, oh my god, dude, this feels so weird.
That's interesting. Just
Yeah, I know. Because I don't even speak Tagalog.
Yeah.
That's the worst part, is that they'll send me a text with random Tagalog words, and I'm like, mm-hmm.
Yep. Do people close to you know about your work?
Yes. And the reason I say that with a sigh is because before the pandemic happened, I had told my parents, but that was because I was expecting never to have to move back in with them. And then I had to move back in with them, and now it's weird.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Are they like how are they like talking like do they want to talk to you about it? Is that like
Sometimes, and I don't want to.
yeah, I feel you.
Yeah. It's funny. I ended up finding out that I'm actually like second gen because mom went on a paid date like once.
Hey, hell yeah.
Yeah, but she's like really weird about things.
Yeah, I mean parents are just, they got their own thing going on.
Yeah.
So you're in school currently, right?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I'm working on a diploma because degree requirements are way too much for me.
How is it balancing school and sex work together?
Oh my god, it's a wreck. Because I have ADHD and some other learning disabilities, and like already trying to juggle school that's online when you have ADHD is like so damn hard.
God, yeah.
It's, like if it's asynchronous, it doesn't really matter because I'm like, God, I can't focus. Oh my God. And I've also got depression, so some days I like just can't get out of bed. I've had a couple times this semester where I've skipped classes just because I'm like, I can't pull myself out of bed. Like, it's not
Yeah.
happening today. I have a lecture. Fuck it.
It's a lot like especially I feel like just online stuff like I don't know, it
It's so much
sucks.
harder.
Like I took a few online classes and I was like I mean, I do like the like that I'm not having to go somewhere.
Yeah.
That's the nice part,
Yeah.
but the discipline that you have to have
Oh my
is
God. Yeah. It's so much. And one of my classes last semester, it was basically here's the chapters in the textbook, and here's the quiz questions that are built into the online textbook, and there's a quiz on whatever. He did lectures, but it was basically rehashing the chapters, so I eventually just gave up on watching his pre recorded lectures and just went with the chapters. Because he was just
yeah.
summarizing it. I'm like, I'm just teaching myself the material. What the fuck am I paying you for?
Literally, that's why those fucking textbooks are so expensive. Try to eradicate the teachers. We don't need you anymore.
I know. It's a bit nuts.
Yeah. So, random question: Did you take a Latin class? Are you currently taking Latin, or you already took Latin?
I just finished my Latin and Greek roots course, yeah.
How'd you
And
like the Latin?
oh, it was quite interesting and funny story. I don't know if you tried Googling my work last name.
Oh no, I didn't.
Just try it and see what comes up. Because it's actually the Latin word for prostitute, or one of the
Really?
forms of the Latin word for prostitute. Yep.
Hell yeah! Did you know that before? I mean, I assume
Yes, I
that.
did. That's why I picked it. Because I was like, oh God, I can't think of a last name. And then I was like, oh yeah, I had this thing where in high school I found this word and was trying to convince people that it meant pretty. Because I was like trying to trick people, like, ha ha ha, I called you a whore. But yeah, I remembered that and was like, hey, that's a good name. That'll work.
Hell yeah! I mean, it flows, and it's like, ooh, what is that? Oh, I like that.
Oh yeah, I've had clients on come to me and be like, "Yeah, I looked up your name," and they kind of just laughed because they and I know both know what came up on the Google search, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
What do you like most about companionship?
the people I meet, the experiences I have, the fact that it's okay to post my titties on the internet.
Yeah, it's more than okay. It's welcomed by the world.
Exactly. I'm like, this is great. I could just snap random, like maybe shitty pictures of my tits, and everyone will be like, "Ah, yes, we love this." I
Yeah.
mean, that happens if you're not a sex worker, but like I can actually profit off this, and that's what makes it great.
Hell yeah. What do you like most about online sex work?
I love that I get to choose to make my own content or what kind of content I make. Which is why if you look at the themes of all the different content I've got, like I don't have a lot, but it's kind of all over the place. And the reason for that is because I'm all over the place. And I've been choosing, like, I want to make this, so I'm going to make this.
Nice.
And I love that. I love, love, love that.
Do you have like a favorite, any favorite content that you've created so far?
Ooh. Mm,
If you had to tell the people right now one video to go buy, what video are
oh.
you telling them to go look at?
Probably the D&D themed one that I did.
Nice.
Yeah, I can't remember the title of it right now. Hang on, let me look. I've got it somewhere. No, that's just my tits. Your Lucky Day. Yeah.
Okay.
That one took me a lot of work. Um, and there's actually kind of, you know how we were talking about video editing before
Yeah.
this, where you can have moments where you're like, wait, that changed. I totally have that in this because I have the
Continuity.
same. Oh yeah, it's a total continuity error, but it's not an error. It's because I was like, fuck it, I can't use this toy, but I like the stuff I filmed already, so I was too lazy to refilm it with the different
Fuck yeah,
one.
the people are gonna love it either way.
And the best part is that it's the same toy, just in two different colors. And
Okay.
the red one is a lot stiffer, and it's like really textured with like spikes and shit on it, so I could not film the whole thing on that one because I would just
Okay.
hurt myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a reason I have that one in blue and a softer silicone.
Nice. A lot of people during the pandemic created an OnlyFans, started an OnlyFans. You're not on the old OnlyFans.
No, I'm not. Because I don't feel like I can keep up with the amount of content I have to put out.
It's a lot. People out here,
It's so
people
much.
working.
Yeah, people are working and making so little, and I'm like, I can't do that. I straight up cannot do that. Like if I had a private space to film, maybe, but do I have the discipline to do that in school or just that? Probably not. And to me it's like, god, it's for so little money, and I mean, I'm not a fan of subscription stuff, so I don't know. I get the feeling that other people aren't a fan of like subscriptions necessarily because everybody hates Adobe for it, right?
Well, I mean, of course, you hate Adobe for it, for sure, you know. But if there's boobs happening, the script, I feel like the subscription, you're like, ooh, hey, I can be convinced, you know.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Um, yeah, and it is a valid money making strategy to like get people to pay more than once, right? But uh, I just don't feel like I could let somebody see all the content I've got for like $3 or whatever somebody sets their stuff at, even for a month.
Yeah,
I'm like, I can't do that. That's
that makes
And I feel
sense.
like I also don't have nearly enough content to even justify that. Like, you're gonna watch this and then be like, oh, that's it.
But
So
you
like
could talk.
maybe if I have a bigger library, maybe, but even then, like,
I feel
nah.
you. I feel you. What sites can people buy your content on?
I'm on this weird European one called bentbox.co, and that site, if you go buy my content on there, you can actually get like some exclusive nudes and that kind of thing, and that's where I keep all my freebies. I'm also on ManyVids and AP Clips if anyone
Nice.
wants to hit me up on there.
Do you have a favorite site? Is there like a best site you think for selling clips?
I don't know. I really don't. I mean, I'm personally a fan of Bentbox because I'm hoping to do like more audio and that kind of thing. And you can't really sell. audio as easily on the other sites unless you want to just make it a video. And I'm
Yeah,
like, I don't really want to do that.
I
I
feel
just want
you.
to record stuff, slap a name on it, and sell that file. Or I want to sell like my writing. Like if I write some erotica, I want to sell that. And I can do that on there.
Oh, sweet. So you can sell. Okay, that's cool. Where you can post a lot of different like types of media.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. Hell yeah. Do you feel like you prefer like companionship to online sex work? Do you feel like you prefer one over the other?
I prefer companionship, absolutely. You're there for that time, and then it's over. Like, you know that there's a start, there's an end, you have fun in between, and you don't have to really think about like afterwards too much. With filming, there's like so much prep work, and then you have to actually film it, and then afterwards there's all this editing. So there's so much many more hours put into online content work,
Yeah.
and I also need to learn more about video editing, so that might be part of why I'm saying this. But I also just love, you know, touching people. People are great. Like, I love the connection you get with people.
I mean, it's really hard to like, especially in like this time, or at least like I guess more so last year when everything was like super locked down, and
Hmm.
like you're really lacking like that human connection. I feel like you really do kind of notice like, holy shit, like how much I do like being around other people, or I like this like
Yeah,
in
I
person
know.
interaction versus like a screen in between, or like just be able to talk on the phone where you're not able, that in person thing is like hard to
I know.
recreate.
Part of me is like, God, I just want to be a fucking hug dealer at this point. Like,
Yeah.
like just
You be
here, pay me like $10 and I'll hug you.
see now that's putting ideas all up in the head. See, that's I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Actually, one of the things I started as was like nude cuddles, so I kind of was a hug dealer basically for a while.
See, now that's dope. I feel like I want to get like I feel like the cuddles. Nobody. I feel like people underestimate the cuddles. You know.
Yeah, I know, and my rate for like if you just want to cuddle nude is like obviously lower than my full service rate, but I'm kind of scared to offer that again because like people are gonna get so pushy and try to push me to cross the boundary, and I'm like, I don't want to deal with that.
That makes sense. I've actually heard somebody say the exact kind of same thing, like to where it's like, if you want to cuddle, that's cool, but you got to fucking realize that's all it is. And then once you get in the cuddle, then you're like, oh well, but no, like nope, it's just cuddling.
Yep, yep, yeah. I know it's other people
It's
ruining it for everyone else.
I know, right? Why can't you just fucking accept the cuddle and man?
Yeah.
Hey, if you're
Well, it's
listening to this
because sometimes
podcast
they're
and
cheap.
if you're listening to this podcast, just hey, if it's cuddles, it's just cuddles. That's all it is. Yo, be cool, okay?
Yeah, like just listen to the boundaries set. Holy
Yeah.
shit.
Do you feel like in companionship you have like an average clientele at all?
No, I don't think so. Not yet, anyway.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. Do you feel like people know what they're doing when they hit you up? Like when they contact you to try to book you, do you feel like people know how to do that correctly?
No. No. But yeah, I know that some people get offended by like menus or whatever. I just see that as like, okay, whatever. If you want to refer to it as menu, fucking fine. So people will text me asking for like what I offer, and I'm like, okay, I'm willing to tell you because personally I don't offer like bareback blowjobs, and that I've found has been like a major turn off for people, and I'd rather get that out of the way before
Yeah.
they show up and be like, "Oh, I thought you did this."
Do you feel like so? I kind of I talked to Alice Little who works at the Bunny Ranch, and you're allowed to like discuss services at the Bunny
Mhm.
Ranch kind of before you actually meet. So you kind of know what's going to happen going in. Do you feel like being able to have that discussion or like a menu, I guess. Do you feel like that helps the overall experience?
Yes, because you know what is okay and what's not, and you can, if they're like, "Oh, but I thought you did this," you can like point to the text and go like, "No, I said I did this."
Yeah.
Um, but because of the laws, it's still awkward because technically they're illegally texting you about things. So it
Yeah.
yeah, it's a mess.
But you can legally text, you know. That's the best part.
Yeah, I can. It's funny the amount of people that like tell sex workers around here like, "Oh, I'm going to call the cops on you." And it's like, "Okay, go ahead." Like tell on yourself.
They're like, you're
Go
the one
right
that's doing the
ahead.
illegal thing. I'm fine. I am.
Exactly. Yeah, I always find that funny because they're like, "Oh, I know the law." I'm like, "You clearly don't, but like, go off."
Yeah. They just show up and then they arrest them.
Yeah, I'm like,
Like, get
and
her.
I
It was
don't
like,
want
nope.
people to be arrested for that. I'm just like, it's just funny to me that they say like, "Oh, I know the law and blah blah." And I'm like, "You don't."
How is it like being in Canada where it is legal for you? What's the law? What's the I guess the relationship between sex workers and law enforcement? Like, if you do you feel like you could comfortably go to the police if you were to need to?
Personally, no, but that's because I personally am like not cool with the cops. I I'm just like, no, abolition, please go away.
Virtual
And
high five. Okay.
yeah. Um and like when I was a lot younger, I was like coerced into like sending nudes at like 13 or something, and a cop showed up to my house and told me all the reasons, like, or they showed me all the charges I could get
Oh
because I was
God.
like 13 and sent nudes. Like, that's fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think they're particularly safe or whatever, because they did that to me and they were like, "Oh yeah, but we're not gonna charge you because like no one's gonna actually like convict you for being 13 and sending you nudes." And it's like, then why did you do that? Like, were you just trying to scare me? Because yeah, it worked, and now I'm just like paranoid about going to the cops for anything.
Yeah.
Like, good job, asshole.
That sucks. Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really about the whole call of the cops life. I'm like, oh, I'll be fine
I
without
mean,
them.
you and I would have a very different experience, so
That is true. They were there. They're like, get him. He's.
yeah. And I mean, I've had to talk to the cops because I was having like suicidal thoughts, and they're the ones who respond, right? And I'm like, God damn it, no one wants to deal with this.
Yep.
Like, don't call the cops on somebody who's mentally ill. Like, that's bullshit. Do you want them to actually die? That's how you get that to happen.
Man, do they got? I guess. How are the cops in Canada? They got. I guess. Do you guys? They got guns. I assume they have guns.
Yeah, I mean, in the States, you have the problem of like black people getting shot way more. Up here, it's more indigenous people getting shot way more.
Really?
Either way, it's bullshit. Yeah.
They love. they love
And
pulling the
what's
guns out.
oh my god, I know. And what's stupid is that I looked into it like years ago, and our like the RCMP, they don't even track hate crime statistics. And I'm like,
Really
that's kind of suspicious.
interesting.
Like the National Police Force doesn't track hate crime statistics. I don't know if that's changed, but when I looked up all the stats they actually keep about like crime rates in Canada, I'm like, why isn't hate crimes on here?
Yeah. Seems like they'd want that on there. I mean,
Like, that's something I'd like to know. But
yeah.
they just didn't track it, and I'm like, that's weird. That's a weird thing to leave off a list of like
Yeah.
crime statistics.
Damn. How is so like you're going to school, you're doing companionship, you're creating content online. Does burnout ever happen for you?
Yeah, I mean, I get tired of like I have to post every day on Twitter. I have to do all this stuff just to keep myself like showing up on people's feeds and trying to organize that and keep up and not just like disappear into the ether of not showing up on someone's feed is like really annoying. And Twitter algorithms changing is really fucking tiring because then you have to figure out, okay, now what can I do? Now what do I need to do to actually be visible and all this?
It is weird how like Twitter chooses who to show you, Like and like
Yeah,
what kind of engagement makes it so that you'll show up on people's feeds. Like it's interesting.
it's weird. And yeah, and social media is so limited for sex workers anyway that it's kind of like Twitter has got to know what they're doing. Like all these
Yeah.
social media companies have got to know what they're doing. Like there's no way they don't.
I mean, shadow banning is like a real fucking thing. Like it's crazy. When
Oh my
I'll like go
god.
to
Yeah.
like look up somebody's Twitter and I'm like I type in every single like the whole
Yeah,
thing and then
because
I
they're
gotta
search
press
banned and
enter.
everything. Yep. I'm pretty sure I'm search banned and maybe other stuff. I haven't checked in a while.
So I know you mentioned like Naked Girl Therapy is kind of your brand. How does it feel like when you see somebody, meet somebody in person, and then you can kind of tell at the end of that session when they leave, like they're almost changed by having like seen you? How does that feel?
Amazing. Ugh. I love knowing that I've made their day, their week, their whatever. I just love this work for that.
Oh
I
yeah,
love knowing that I'm actually like making a little change in somebody's life that's helping someone. And
yeah.
for me, it's funny because I want to become a mortician, but I can't deal with people who are like physically hurt and deal with that. Like I can't deal with someone who's in physical pain and help them that way. So I feel like I've always had a helper personality. So this is kind of like one of the ways I end up expressing that.
Because it is like, I mean, I've seen somebody, and then at the end, I'm like, I feel like it's so good, like
Yeah.
you carry that shit with you,
Yeah,
just
exactly.
floating for a little bit.
Yeah, and you've got a good memory, you've got anticipation for the next time maybe. Like it's
Yeah.
great. It's good for both parties, I find.
Oh yeah. I feel like no matter what your job is, like not every day is going to be a good day. What are some like maybe challenges or frustrations you have within sex work?
I don't do deposits at the moment. So flakes is people flaking is really frustrating because I'm like, okay, so I've got to get ready for this time for this person and blah blah blah. But then having them just not show up or not text to confirm is like so
God.
gut wrenching and so frustrating.
I think that like a lot of people, I don't know if they realize it, but they're like maybe they're like I'm like just the amount of time that goes in like the pre-date like
Mm-hmm.
preparation, maybe you have to drive somewhere to get to the location where you're going to be working
Yeah,
for like
yeah,
somebody to not show up, like that's just like fuck dog
I
or
know.
lady.
And because I don't have like a steady in call, like having to book hotel rooms or whatever is like, fuck.
Yeah. Do you feel like your views on sex or sexuality have changed since getting into sex work at all?
um, I don't think so. I mean, I've always been really open and really for everything. I've been like pro sex work like all my life because I've been like, well, if you get paid to film it, why is it a problem if the camera's off?
Literally, god, yeah. It's ridiculous.
Like,
Literally the only the only difference between porn and prostitution is the camera.
I know. And I'm like, why is this a problem between two consenting adults? If the laws against like two consenting adults doing things in any like if it was any other context, people would be like, "Ha, that's weird."
Yeah.
But for some reason money is involved and they're like, "Eh, don't like it."
Man, it's crazy. It really is crazy.
And for the amount of sex that's in like ads and shit and on TV and that kind of thing, it's weird that like sex work itself is like a problem.
Yeah, like they're pushing sex. I mean, they're pushing sex like as a as like starting out as a child, like a baby. You're seeing your entire life. You're seeing sex advertised to you.
Yeah, and then the one time that you're actually gonna get what is on screen, they're like, nah.
Nope, you're bad. You are bad.
I know, like, this is so ridiculous.
We didn't want you to do this. We just wanted you to spend money. We didn't want you to.
Yeah, I know, it's like, wow, we didn't actually want to sell you the thing we're selling you. Because, like, the burger ads or whatever with, like,
Oh my god,
women
yeah.
in, like,
Hardee's did that shit down
bikinis.
here.
Yeah! Like, the women in bikinis with the fucking burgers. I'm like, you're not selling a fucking burger, you're selling her tits.
Yeah. And
Like,
then also, if you were to, I feel like if you were to take that same girl to Hardee's, she's like, "Woof, woof, what are we doing here?
yeah, exactly.
At least take me to Five Guys. What the fuck is this Hardee's shit? You know?
Yeah, really. At least at Five Guys, you'll get like a shitload of fries and all the free peanuts you want.
Real talk. I don't know. It's a weird world.
I know. I don't get it.
How long do you see yourself in sex work?
I mean, I personally, I'd love to be in it till the day I fucking die.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a market for MILFs, so like, as I get older, it's fine.
There's a market for gilfs. I mean,
I
this
know,
is
right?
a, you know.
Like, this is the truth. People want us at whatever age, so fuck it. If I can stay in the industry, I'll stay in the industry. And I'm gonna say this quote that I fucking love. It's from Dr. Carol Queen. She's from the US. And she's a sexologist, I think, with a PhD and shit. And she used to be a sex worker. And I was at a conference where she was the keynote speaker. And somebody asked her something about, like, would you ever go back to sex work? And her response, which I love, 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 and I'm trying to figure out how to make a design for cross stitching that really encapsulates this. Her eternal quote was, I'm only as retired as the money's good.
Hell yeah. That's the truth.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, this is it. That's the quote. Like, I want that somewhere until I die. Like,
Hell yeah. New tattoo.
oh my god, no. Fuck, where would I even put that? And that would be a weird one, especially if I never retired.
Yeah. And people are like, what's this quote? And you're like, I mean, hey, it meant a lot to me at
It's
one point, but I'm not retired yet.
yeah, exactly.
So let's take a trip to the future, right?
Okay.
2026, 5 years from now, where are you? What are you doing?
Do you want the fun answer or the whatever answer?
I want the answer that you want. I want the. Let's go. You can give me two answers. You can go the fun answer, and then you can go the grim answer. Not the real.
Yeah. Like the fun answer is like living in a penthouse, not having to worry about shit and actually being like super stable and everything's great. I've got my cat. She's like healthy, alive, gonna live forever. And um I've got money. I'm able to help every GoFundMe I see. And yeah,
This feels
I'm
very fun.
healthy. Yeah, exactly. I'm drinking shit. What the fuck am I drinking in this dream? Uh
It's
Shirley
not
Temples
PBR.
because Shirley Temples because I'm a sucker for those. That or if I'm going for alcoholic things, I recently discovered the magic that was Bacardi Breezers and whoo boy, those are delicious.
Okay, Bacardi Breezers.
Oh, I'm not a mature person. Like wine, gag me. But if I reach for alcohol, it's probably gonna be like Bacardi Breezer or just like rum or because I'm secretly a fancy bitch, absinthe.
Ooh, nice. Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've never had it before.
You probably haven't.
Nope.
It tastes weird because it's this herbal liqueur, and the traditional way of drinking absinthe is you have this special slotted spoon and you put it over your glass, okay? You have your absinthe in the glass, and then you've supposedly what you're supposed to have is this giant, like, tap thing, and you just put a sugar cube on top of the slotted spoon, and then you turn on the tap so that drips water onto the sugar cube and dissolves it into the absinthe. And that's apparently how you're supposed to drink it. However, that's never been. I think I've had it that way like once.
Who has a slotted spoon also? That's
Exactly. It's specifically like an absinthe spoon, and they used to be super fancy and shit. I'm like, modern day absinthe spoon is a fork. Um
yeah. I feel like they used to play up the whole absinthe thing to where you like hallucinate too with it.
Yeah,
Is that
they did. They did. Yeah. And yeah, nope, haven't hallucinated from it.
because I remember watching Euro Trip and they drank absinthe. Absinthe. Jesus Christ, I can't even say it. They drank
It's okay,
absinthe
it's a
and
weird word.
yeah, and like they like hallucinated and like wound up in like Eastern Europe or something. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, like you know the scene from Dumbo where they get drunk? Like people think absinthe is like that.
I swear to God, they make drugs in movies and just like shit. Just like this is not realistic at all. This is
No, not even close.
somebody hits a blunt, they start seeing cartoons and like shit popping out. You're like, this is not. I'm just a little sleepy. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't know. I've never done anything other than alcohol and getting high on my ADHD meds by accident once, but
Nice. Oh,
it
to be
it
young
was
again.
oh my god, that well, the funny thing was is that this was at school, like in grade 12.
Nice.
So, over the summer, I had taken a break from my medical grade meth, and I get back to school, and for the first couple of weeks, I'm not on it. And then we're like, okay, so I need to get started on this again. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start me slowly, dump out like half the pill, and then I'll start with that. Well, we forgot to dump out half the pill, so for my first couple classes of the day, I'm sitting there like fucking vibrating and shit.
That's funny.
Yeah, and I'm texting my parents like, I don't know what's happening. Like my heart's beating too fast. And blah blah blah, and then they realize, and then they start laughing at me because they're like, "Oh, you're just high on your meds." I'm like, "Oh, is that what this is? Huh,
That's what this
neat."
feels.
And like I mentioned being disabled on Twitter, it's because my heart doesn't work, or at least I was born with it not working, and I'm not
Okay.
really ashamed of that. If you have a session with me, or if you like see me in my content, like my scar is obvious. I can't hide that. I can't hide either of them. Like
Yeah.
that's why I'm open about it, because I'm like, what am I gonna do? Hide the fact that I had major chest surgery? What the fuck am I gonna say? I was part of the Iron Man project and like the really early stages where they fucked it up. Actually, that is something I've told a child before.
They're like, oh my god.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've told children all sorts of wacky shit.
Hell yeah. Are you a fan of stand up comedy at all?
Yes, I am. I love stand up. It is so great to listen to somebody just talk and like actually make real life funny and everything. Part of me wants to do stand up. The only joke that I've got in the style of like stand up comedy is basically like this one where I talk about umbrellas in Vancouver. Like that's it. That's all I
That's
have.
that's a start. You got to start somewhere. That's
Yeah.
See, I hadn't done like stand up in a while. Like I pretty much like
Mhm.
marched until like I did a little bit like like towards the end of last year, and then I went up like on Saturday,
Mhm.
just at a bar in Atlanta, and
Fuck yes.
I was like,
I
man,
love seeing the arts come back. Yes.
it really feels like I didn't realize like how much I was gonna miss it because I was like fucking I'm
Oh
like
my
of course I'm
god.
like nervous coming back.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, saying silly shit into a microphone in front of random people, that is really
It's
fun.
so good.
Yeah.
Like, my art thing has always been like performance arts. I was in musical theater in high school. I was in drama in high school. I did all the shit. I was part of the slam poetry team in high school. Like, fuck.
Nice.
Yes, I love it. I love being able to go up there and being on stage. It's fucking great.
It's so much fun.
Um, yeah, and yeah, some of the I can't write comedic poetry, but I sure as shit can spin you a funny story sometimes. Like,
Hell yeah, you should hey, all you gotta do, microphone, there's people, talk, you know?
yeah, I know. Like, part of me wants to try to attempt the whole like Vancouver umbrella thing, but I'm also like, I don't want to embarrass myself in front of someone who's actually been paid to do this. Like,
Well, let's just say that it will happen. It's gonna be embarrassing,
okay,
but it's just like it's just a you gotta start somewhere,
yeah,
Like all everyone who's good at comedy now was bad at comedy at one point.
yeah,
Or really
yeah,
anything. If you're anybody that's good at something, you don't just come out just like Dave Chappelle was not. I'm sure maybe he was probably like pretty funny constantly, but it's a progression. It's a progression. You don't start
yeah,
amazing,
yeah. Nobody starts amazing.
except for oh man, I was gonna say our Lord
Yeah.
and Savior Jesus Christ, but I was like that's ridiculous. What am I fucking saying?
There's a reason we don't talk about his teenage years.
Yeah. Jesus had so much acne. He was awkward. They don't write about that shit. 'Cause
Oh
it would.
my god.
Man. Ayla, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. It's been so much fun.
Yeah, I'd love to be on the show again. I've loved
Fuck
being
yeah.
here. It's been great.
Before we get out of here, did you want to end on a story at all for the people? Give a story for
Yes.
the people.
Yes, I do. So, I'm gonna set the scene here. It's this wonderful guy who's shown up on a date, and he's brought me a gift of red wine, and everything's going great. We're talking, we're laughing, and then he asks me, so what did happen with the shark bear thing? And this is something that's literally written on my ad. Like, I say that, like, if you're wondering about the scars, I was bitten by a shark bear. And then in brackets, it's like, actually surgery scars, but the tale is more fun.
Oh, okay.
And he's asking me because he thinks it's real. He thinks that the shark bear is a real animal, and I like survived this horrible encounter. Like that's what this guy thinks has happened, and I'm like, oh my god, I cannot believe someone actually believed this. This is amazing. Because he's like, what kind of animal is it? And I'm thinking, oh fuck, you can't. Oh no.
He's like, you've seen like a shark, right? And you've seen like a bear. It's like one of those, like, except like it just on land. It's both combined.
Yeah.
You ever seen one? Like, look it up, Google it. A shark
God.
bear. What the fuck? Am I crazy? How do you not know what a shark bear is?
I
Jesus.
know. But oh god, I lost it. And I was just laughing and I'm like, that's a joke. That's a joke on my ad. I wasn't actually bitten by anything.
How hurt was he when you said that?
Surprisingly not. He took it in stride. We got a good laugh out of him believing it, but oh man, that was one of my favorite appointments because of that.
That's funny.
Yeah, I know. And for that reason, on my website, there actually is like a little shark bear thing. I mean, at the moment, it's just got a placeholder of me singing a Pitbull song. Uh,
So with the Pitbull thing, right? Because I saw on your website, I saw the Shark Bear thing, and then like I'm talking to my buddy like 2 months ago, and he starts
Mhm.
pitching to me this whole thing about how Pitbull is just fucking amazing. He's so great. And then, he tells me, he's like, dog, you got to listen to the song International Love, right?
Oh
So
fuck.
I go listen to the song and I'm like, I mean, it's a song. And then I like, I think we were talking and then I go look at your website and I'm like, holy shit, she's got International Love on the piano. This is dope. The
So
world's
basically, what
crazy.
you're
He's
telling
talking to me about International Love and then you're bringing it like, man.
I know. So what you're telling me is you're gonna like show him that, obviously, right? Like,
Yes, yes. I don't know if I sent him the link, but after we do this, I'm gonna send him the link,
oh my
like,
god, do
to your
it.
YouTube video.
Oh my god. Because I just did that as something ridiculous to put as a placeholder because that's who I am, is I'll do ridiculous shit as just like placeholders because it's more fun to do that than just put something blank up.
Yeah, yeah. You gotta have fun with it. Like that's what it's about. Fuck yeah, Ayla. I appreciate you coming on the podcast. This has been so much fun. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. It was
Of
so much
course.
fun.
Before we get out of here again, do you have any social media? Do you have any stuff you want to plug so the people out there can find you?
Okay, so if you want me with my clothes off, what you need to do is you need to go to um, on Twitter. You can find me at Naked GRL Therapy. That's my handle. Um, and I've got a website, nakedgirltherapy.ca. Um, and if you want me with my clothes on and my thinking cap on, or maybe naked with my thinking cap on, who knows? Um, Center Stage Pro Writing. If you look that up on Twitter, I should come up. If not, it's at Center Stage Pro uh, Writing. I think that's what it is. Fuck, I've
Okay.
totally forgotten.
I'll look it up and
um,
I'll plug it. If it's not that, I'll tell the
okay,
people what
thank
it
you.
is.
Yeah. And if you want my cross stitch art, my alt account at Ayla Meretrice is where you're gonna find that.
Hell yeah. People, follow her. Do it right now. Stop. Stop driving. Click the follow button. Hell yeah. Ayla, I appreciate you coming on. This has been so much fun.
Thank you.
Hell yeah. Listeners, we will be back later.
Bye.
That was my interview with Ayla Meretrice. Yo, shout out Ayla. I appreciate you coming on the podcast. That was so much fun. Listener, she just plugged it. You can find her on Twitter at NakedGRLTherapy. You can also find her on Twitter at Ayla Meretrice. Her company, Center Stage Pro Writing, on Twitter at CS Pro Writing. Her website, nakedgirltherapy.ca. I'll have links to all of those in the show notes from this week. Hit them show notes, click them links, show her some love. As always, you can find us on Twitter, on Instagram at Full Service Pod. I am at Tank Funkadelic. If you enjoy the show, subscribe to the podcast. Hit that like button, that follow button, that plus button, heart button. You'll be alerted as soon as those new episodes drop every single Tuesday. If you want to support the show, Patreon is the best way to do that. Each month we have at least one Patreon exclusive episode. Last month was friend of the podcast, Atlanta-based companion Sophia Soma. That was last week's episode. Hope you checked out at least part of it if you're not part of Patreon. But you can hear that whole episode on Patreon. And if you subscribe to the Outcall tier, you get a free month trial of OnlyFans. To friends of the podcast, Sophia Soma, Sweet Haley Grace, and Alexis Reynolds. What are you doing? 12, subscribe to subscribe to the Patreon. It's a good time. Lots happening over there. But hey, I appreciate you being here. This has been episode 87. Hell yeah. We will be back next Tuesday. My guest is Seattle-based companion Simone Sonsa. We sat down like a couple days ago. Super stoked for y'all to hear this. that is next Tuesday. But hey, I think that's all she wrote. I hope if you're a mom out there listening to this podcast, hope you had a good Mother's Day. I always forget to preemptively wish whatever holidays happening the Tuesday before. So hey, hope it was a good one. But yeah, we'll be back on Tuesday. Hope everything's good wherever you were at. I will see you then. Later. Full service.